G'day guys, today I'm doing a video on why I won't be getting an e-mountain bike. Now to start this off, I need to explain where I see e-mountain bikes in the sport and in relation to traditional mountain biking. And two things, the first thing is I see it as a different category. So it's not really mountain biking in my mind, it's something slightly different. And the second thing is it lies in a spectrum between traditional mountain biking and motorbikes or trail bikes. So there are some similarities between traditional mountain biking and motorbikes, trail bikes, and it's a blend of the two in my mind. So I've got nothing against e-mountain bikes. I'm happy to share the trails with those guys, but I'm just explaining the reasons that I won't be getting into the sport as a category, and I'll be sticking with traditional mountain bikes. So I'll just start off with things that I don't agree with, that are reasons that people don't like e-mountain bikes, and the big one of those is destroying trails. I don't believe e-mountain bikes are going to do a huge amount of damage to mountain bike trails, at least in the trails that I ride. So here in Australia, in Victoria, we have pretty sandy, rocky trails, and I honestly don't see an e-mountain bike making too much difference to the trail quality or deteriorating the trails in any way. So don't agree with that. May be true in other areas, other parts of the world, but not in here, not in Australia. Secondly, a reason people give for not getting into e-mountain bikes, which is a little bit shallow, is that they're ugly. While to some extent I do agree that that's true, these big massive down tubes they have, which don't look great to some people, I think that's probably in the eye of the beholder, and also I think the technology will improve in the future and they'll look a lot better. So the number one reason why I won't be getting an e-mountain bike is fitness and the exercise component of mountain biking. I believe that you only get as much out of something as you put in, and the e-mountain bikes just take away some of the effort involved in climbing the hills and the straight sections, and they just appear to give you the shortcut of just doing the fun downhill parts. But I've found that I actually like the uphill parts and the riding around on flat because of the fitness required to do that. That's why I don't often really like shuttle days as much, because just doing downhill all day somehow takes away from the rest of the ride for me. Second reason is that e-mountain bikes are just inherently more complicated. There's more things to go wrong. You've got to worry about batteries if they're going to run out, their shelf life, maintenance. How do you maintain the electrical motor? Can a bike shop even fix them, or we'll have to send them away to the manufacturer? Then there's other little things like traveling on planes. You can't take batteries along with you, so that's another problem if you do that. So, like I've said in some other videos, I like simplistic bikes, stuff that you can fix yourself. A traditional bike, you can pretty much, if you've got the tools, you can do almost everything yourself.
including bleeding the hydraulics and all that sort of stuff. But when you're just adding that electrical motor in there and all the things that can go wrong with that, it's just another layer of complication that you don't necessarily need. So the third thing coming off that as well is lastability. At the end of the day, basically you're putting more torque at times into a mountain bike drivetrain that's not necessarily designed for it. Obviously the technology is going to get better in the future to allow the components to deal with that force and that wear and the amount of Ks better. But at the moment things will wear out faster if you've got an e-mountain bike. Obviously batteries again will run out over time, or we all know batteries get less effective as they age. And the other thing is that the e-mountain bike you buy today is going to be rapidly obsolete a lot quicker than a normal mountain bike. So the only thing that changes, things change in normal mountain bikes quite a bit, like wheel size, longer slacker bikes, boost hubs and all that sort of stuff. But with e-mountain bikes, because it's just starting out, there's so much technology that I think is going to change in the next 5 to 10 years that the bike you buy today is going to be obsolete in 2 years, or it's going to look pretty bad and perform not overly well compared to something you can buy at that time in 2 years' time, or whenever you buy it. So you've got to keep in mind that your bike's not going to have the lastability that a traditional bike will have. Fourth thing is weight and fun downhill. So I haven't seen a lot of writing about this, but in my mind, even the downhill parts, a lot of the fun comes about by having a light bike, because you can throw it around. With a big heavy mountain bike, an e-mountain bike, and they are very heavy, I've lifted up a couple of them, you've just got this big lump of weight bearing down on a downhill section, so it's just obviously harder to get air off jumps. The rock gardens will be easier because you've got more weight, but at the same time you can't throw your bike around, and for me that's a big part of the fun of it, is the skill of being able to navigate through the obstacles with a really light bike that you can toss around. Number 5 is cost. Obviously e-mountain bikes are significantly more expensive than traditional mountain bikes. In fact, you could probably buy 2 mountain bikes traditional for an e-mountain bike, so you could get a full suspension bike and a hardtail for the same price as an e-mountain bike. And coming back to what I was saying earlier, the lastability isn't there either, so in 2 years' time it's going to be a bit out of date compared to what's available at the time. Sixth thing is something unique only to e-mountain bikes, and that is the way that they limit speed at a certain effort. So I'm not exactly sure how it works, but it will give you a boost up to a certain k's per hour, maybe 25 k's per hour, or maybe, I don't know if it's 40 or whatever it is, and then it'll cut out. So if you wanted to go over that limit of speed, you have to put so much more effort into pedaling to actually push all the weight of the bike away. And because the electronic boost or the electronic assistance has been cut off at that speed. So that really has a weird, funny dynamic when it comes to racing or trying to do better on a pace of a trail, because you're sort of cheating, so to speak, up to a certain rate, and then it cuts off at the top. So if you wanted to get any better than that cutoff, you've got a massive diminishing returns after that point. So it's just a bit of a funny thing about the bikes that's not proportional to the amount of effort that you put in. Number 7 is something that some people will find more annoying than others, but it's the loudness of the motors. So not many people realize, but the electronic motors are actually quite loud, and they can whir away quite a bit. So, and it's a bit distracting, and with a normal mountain bike, obviously, you can have it almost pretty much silent. And the thing about mountain biking is you're out in the bush or out in the countryside, and it's just a bit distracting to have a whirring motor working away. Comes again back to being a bit on the side of having a motorbike rather than a mountain bike. Some people obviously are more obsessed with this than others. Like, I actually have a very loud hub on my bike, for example, freewheel hub, whereas there is silent free hubs around, and they're becoming a bit more popular these days. But the motor is actually quite a bit more louder than you might think. So something to think about. And number 8, something that's always in the back of some people's minds, but the fact is you can't do anything about it, and that is the Strava times getting wrecked by e-mountain bikes. Like I was saying before, the amount of Ks and the that you cover and the speed that you do it, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But there's nothing, now that the technology is out of the box, there's nothing you can do about it, so you just got to put up with it. You just got to use Strava for your personal times, and you can, any other people's times you can take it as a grain of salt, because they can say if they've got an e-mountain bike or not, and they could easily smash the best person on the mountains times by just saying they're on a traditional bike, and you'd never really know. So yeah, it doesn't really worry me, but it's just unfortunate that it's happened. But it's just a technology thing, and you just got to live with it. So yeah, they're my reasons. Let me know what you think. Do you like e-mountain bikes? Will you be getting one? Like I said, I won't be, but I have nothing against e-mountain bikers. I'll share the trails with them happily. Give us a like if you like the video, and I'll see you next time.